Yeah, definitely listen to this after you watch the movie. We should, I mean, just every fucking one of our reviews are just full on spoilers, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Welcome back to Beards and Brews. This week's review is going to be Oldboy, the good one from 2003. Fellas, for a good movie.
I didn't know that there was a bad one. I'd seen this one before, but not in about 15 years. I didn't really understand it a whole lot then. I understand it a little bit better now.
And that's all it means. See, I had the same thing. Like, I hadn't seen it probably a decade, maybe a decade and a half as well. And it's weird, right? So I rewatched this movie. It's a little bit of like a mystery thriller, and me knowing what was going to happen kind of took away from it the second viewing.
Yeah, I dealt with the same issue with the knowing the big twist that makes this movie so special. But I was treated this time around to a non-subtitled version, so I got to watch the movie with zero fucking clue who anyone is.
Basically, you watch like 2 hours of like non sequiturs of like a murder and just like nonsense.
Yeah, like I got to make up my own story, which was a lot of fun.
So what's your story? I'm curious. What do you got?
A drunk guy likes to try to kill himself, eats chicken nugget dinners, wonton suicide, likes to jerk off. Street looks like
suicide.
Yeah,
that is my new metalcore band name.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say that. That's a good band name. I like it.
Pasty looking Jackie Chan. You know, he looks like a fucking kung fu martial artist dude all of a sudden, and then he's got to check some stonks, and then he goes to the bank from the Matrix, and there's a really, really loud sex scene. That's the movie.
That's exactly what happens. You nailed it.
You had it. Let's wrap it up, boys. That's Oldboy from 2003. The good one, remember. You know what? I'm surprised how fucking accurate that is. So, basically, we're just going to call him Oldboy. His name is like a Korean phrase, and I don't really feel like saying it over and over. So, Oldboy... Yeah, Dae-Su. Oldboy. So, we catch up with this guy, got this guy by his tie on top of a building, and he's just hanging off. He's like, listen, man, you're not going to die. I'm going to make sure you stand here and listen to my entire fucking story of life.
I'm really glad it started out with that, too, and then we caught back up to where that actually slid into the narrative.
I think it's the best way to do that, because the next 15 minutes of the movie is actually some pretty heavy shit.
Now, you guys are being treated to exposition and actually knowing what he's saying to this man. To me, I see him dangling a guy holding a dog off a roof by his tie, and the first thing I think is, man, this looks a lot like the end of Ninja Turtles.
I just enjoy the fact that we watched the same movie, but somehow we watched completely different movies.
Yeah, it's like he's really mad at this guy with the dog. Maybe the dog did something that he didn't like. We'll just have to see.
I was just worried about the dog.
Yeah, because then it immediately cuts to him drunk, or someone drunk, because I was like, is that him? I don't know.
Same.
He's got a bloody nose, and he's in a fucking jailhouse for being drunk, and he's got a dance scene.
The guy had some pretty good questions. He just wanted to know who the guy was. Like, who's this guy holding me by my life on the edge of this building? And it turns out it's Oldboy, and we flash back 15 years, and he's just like this fatter, drunker, loud son of a bitch, just making a scene in the police department, and they're all just trying to like keep his mouth shut at this point. I guess they're just waiting for his friend to come pick him up.
Yeah.
That's his friend? See, again, I put lawyer, ? And that was after he took his shirt off and rolled on the floor, whoop, 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 style, until they handcuffed him to the wall.
It's true. He just like...
And he has his shirt tied into a belly shirt.
I gotta say, pre-imprisonment Oldboy seems like he'd be a pretty fun guy to hang out with.
He knows how to party.
Now that guy's a fucking loose cannon.
It's true. I like how like he wound up shirtless and just handcuffed to the wall, just like immediately.
Why does he have angel wings? There are questions here.
He was a huge mess. So, like, we find out later on, like, he's been like this his whole life. He's been rowdy, loud, just kind of like an overall...
Fun? You mean he's been fun?
Well, I mean, we find out later on it's not just like, he's not just a bro. He's kind of like a kind of a douchebag.
All I know is that my wife is making burgers, and I can fucking smell them in here, and it's driving me insane.
Ooh, I'm coming over.
You want to go get you one?
Yeah.
No, I don't. Because then I'd be like, oh yeah, so then Jumanji Jackie Chan gets smoked unconscious.
No, that's fucking Jackie Chan Gene Simmons. But like now Gene Simmons. I'm not talking about when he was in Kiss. I'm talking about fucking
Family Jewels Gene Simmons?
yeah.
Where he's literally on air for an hour just to sell out every time.
I mean, this is off topic, but Kiss's entire MO has been selling out.
I mean, they got me at Kiss Icy Hut.
All right, so Oldboy, when his friend, gets him out of jail or whatever, comes to pick him up, makes a phone call to his wife, and it's like, yeah, we'll be home soon, and he just fucking wanders off or something.
So he called his wife. I didn't know.
Yeah.
He just called someone in a phone booth while his bud stands in the fucking rain. He's in there like drunk with the angel wings flapping about.
Yeah, it's his daughter's birthday, so he called home just to let him know he's safe. Like, he's on his way home, he's got a present for the kid, and like his old buddy in the background is like, hey, I want to talk to him too. Let me talk. Come on, give me the phone. So, he winds up handing him the phone. He's like, yeah, your dad's all right. He'll be home soon. He loves you guys. In the middle of this conversation, Oldboy disappears. Like, it's super subtle. But when the old buddy turns around, he's not even there. He's completely gone. Like, the bag that had his gift in it's on the ground. It's getting wet and trampled on. He has disappeared.
And then we get treated to a quick cut of this little hatch on the ground. And pop, out comes his face from the little hatch on the ground, and he's saying things that I don't understand, and they take what looks like a chicky nugget school lunch, throw it on the floor, and push his head and the lunch into the room with his foot.
Yeah, they're little dumplings, little fried dumplings.
It was chicky nuggies, all right? It was a fucking school lunch, bruh. Baby Yoda wants it.
Waiting for it.
But yeah, we find out that he's locked in this sort of shitty prison, except it's kind of better than a shitty prison.
Yeah, it's like a Holiday Inn Express, but you can't leave. So like a Holiday Inn Express.
You think it's like a Hotel California situation? You can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave.
In my mouth a little.
Such a lovely face. Oh.
Now they give you like this interior view of this small apartment-like room, and then you're given this very like emotive narrative. But again, I have no clue what the fuck this man is saying, and I can only imagine he is describing his disdain for this tiny room.
Yeah, so it hard cuts to him in prison, and he's kind of like fighting with the guy feeding him. And at this point, he'd already been there a couple months, because he's trying to barter with the guys, like, please at least tell me how long I have. 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, just tell me something. And we find out a few things. One, every day he is fed the exact same fried dumpling from the same exact place. Every day he absorbs the outside world through television, and every day he is drugged to go to sleep.
Yeah, the room has Valium gas released into it every evening, and that's when he falls asleep. I gotta get me some of that, to be honest.
I thought he was just smoked unconscious, like they're like just fucking flood the room and passes out.
Oh, like he's a bee. They just have those like little bellow things.
Yeah, I mean, because he is going around the room all crazy, all hyped up, and then there's just like, psh, and he's like, oh no, I'm on the ground.
Please calm down.
Bzz, bzz.
And he starts punching the wall.
But he really has no human contact at all, aside from the guy that just slides a tray of fucking fried dumplings under his door every day.
So what was the bit with the CGI ant that came from under his skin? He had no reaction to that, and then suddenly he's having like a bad trip.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's having like a whole psychotic episode.
Yeah, I think at that point it's a mix between the Valium gas, but later on, it's explained that like if you're alone, like truly lonesome, you'll start to just see things, and one of those things is ants, because I don't know, ants are always in greater numbers, so it's kind of like a thing.
You know.
He was tripping balls, guys. All right, fine, whatever.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, that's what I'm getting.
But then he tries to kill himself because the fucking wontons.
I mean, like, he tried it twice, apparently, over 15 years, and they're just like, nah, not gonna happen. So they gas him, take him out, stitch him up, put him right back. Bob's your uncle. Nice try.
Now, did you guys like that he's like, I'm gonna try to kill myself, and they're like, and then he's like, well, This time I'm gonna jerk off, and then I'm trying to kill myself.
Well, I mean, like you have to try all different combinations. Maybe one will work like the Konami code.
Yeah, that's what in my notes here. I'm like, what is he writing down? Jerking off and then killing myself didn't work. Try again next week.
I like what he says. After he starts jerking off, he's no. Okay, what happens is there's a pretty little K-pop girl singing on TV, and he starts jerking off. And it's like, my TV girlfriend's song is too short, and he doesn't get to finish.
Ants start crawling everywhere.
Jerk off to the ants.
Nuts, ants.
Ew. Scarce.
All right. I'm interested now.
Now, he is given a gift. Now, I thought it was like chopsticks, but are they little paintbrushes? What the hell was going on with that?
No,
they were chopsticks. It was like one of those things where he had been in there for so long, and everything was so repetitive. One day, he got 3 chopsticks instead of 2. And he was worried because might be a guy just down the hallway who only got 1.
Well, fuck me. I didn't know. I was just like, 3?
He's like, this place is bad enough. Some other guy just has half a chopstick.
Yeah, like, because immediately after he gets the chopsticks, which kind of look like little paintbrushes, he has a painted man on the wall that he is now street fighting.
Kicking the shit out of, yeah.
I was like, okay, they're giving paintbrushes, and now he's fighting the dude that Chan-wook, I didn't know what the fuck was going on.
Yeah, he learns some pretty intense hardcore kung fu just from a drawn man on the wall.
Yeah, he learned the facts of life from watching the facts of life and boxing too.
Jesus. But it's a pretty cool thing, right? Like, it's a thing with like kung fu, karate and stuff. Like, if you punch something hard, you get these like miniature fractures in your bones, and over time they like harden and everything. So
is that legit? That sounds like bullshit.
Yeah, it's a real thing. I forgot what it's called. There's a term and everything. You get like micro fractures, and when they heal back twice as strong. So like your bone density increases, so you have harder punches. Anyways, so he punches the wall for years and years and years, and he's got these giant flat calluses on his fist. So he's got these hammers on each of his arms.
Lunch boxes.
Why'd you creep in with that like that?
I would have all 10 fingers on my left hand, so my right would just be a fist for punching.
And out of all that, that's what stays in. So, anyways, he takes his extra chopstick and starts like stabbing at the wall. And I think at this point, he's just absolutely trying to escape. But it's taken forever because he just has this one little wooden stick.
Yep, he gets his little stick, and he finally gets the brick to fall out to the outside, and it's raining, and then he's got his hand out there and he's crying about it, but his tears were lost.
Well, that's like his first touch of the outside in how long? 15 years?
There's a lot of fucking oral fixation in this movie, if you guys didn't notice.
A lot of licking.
Yeah, he licks his hand. There's some boot licking later. There's some other stuff getting licked. Licking.
Sometimes you just gotta put your tongue on stuff. I don't know.
This guy just carries around a 9-volt battery and just...
But then he gets gassed, and a lady who apparently doesn't mind blood-stained floors rings a little bell in front of him, and he pops out of a suitcase in a field like some sort of gothic ventriloquist dummy come to life.
He finally gets like one hand outside, and then the music comes on to say, all right, it's bedtime. So he's got to like crawl back inside and hide the hole in the wall that he's been digging through. And then he gets gassed.
Well, a cool little thing, if you notice, this movie does like a really hard cut to him being out in this field, per se, in this little box or whatever, this trunk. But just before every time he's gassed, you do hear that same little bell. So this entire time he has been gassed, forced in this place, he's been slowly hypnotized.
To do what?
Is that like a Pavlovian mechanism that he's got going on? You hear the music and you just go to sleep now?
Yeah, we'll just have to find out later on in the movie.
Oh.
Well, some bitch!
So, the movie right then catches right back up to Mr. Man being held by his life, by his tie, on the edge of the building.
Yeah, we're right back to where we started.
And the first thing that we're treated to is not Jackie Chan hard rubbing this dude's face. He's like, is your face real? Now touch my face. Am I real?
I mean, the guy hasn't touched another person in more than a decade. It's kind of weird. That's like the first thing he defaults to is just like face touching and reverse face touching.
I think the first thing that I would have been amazed by is the quality of fabric of that man's tie.
Wow, what is this, silk? Wow.
Is this Brooks Brothers?
I mean, it's holding up a grown man and a dog off the edge of a building.
I mean, I don't think that's so much the quality of the fabric as it is the quality of the knot.
I mean, lesser fabric would tear. It truly would. You just hear it like, and be gone.
I mean, this is a man with some good tastes.
But then he's like, you know what? I'm not going to kill you. We're buddies now. Hugs.
I realize this is kind of weird without dialogue. So after him basically divulging his entire history with the room and everything, the guy with the dog's like, hey, man, thanks for kind of helping me. Do you want to hear my story? And he legitimately just fucks off. Oldboy just leaves him there. And so, like, while he's leaving the building, the guy just goes ahead and jumps and he lands on the car behind him. Cool guys don't look back at an explosion.
Yeah, he takes the elevator down. We missed this part. He takes the elevator down and he rides the elevator down with a woman.
Like, he's like a full body shriek.
He's like, oh, I'm gonna nut. I'm gonna nut. I'm gonna nut. Oh!
He's like standing in that safety precaution pose, like if like cable of the elevator was about to get cut and drop or whatever. He was just ready.
My next note says, smokes a cig with street toughs. He gets knocked down, but he gets up again, because you're never going to keep
him down.
Yeah, I don't really know what he was expecting there. He went up to like some street thugs and like stole a cigarette out of one of their mouths, just started smoking it. What do you think's gonna happen?
He did it just to test his own skills. He even says, I know Brady didn't catch this. He even says to himself that like, hey, time to test these skills after all these years, you know? He just wanted to start shit, just see if he can, you know, start shit.
Yeah,
this guy knows how to kinda box, maybe, from watching television. And then he's like, 6 dudes, let's do it. And the Superman punches one of them.
He most certainly does. And like these are just like random street thugs. Like none of these folks are skilled in anything, most likely. So
or street toughs.
Yeah. So he just goes around and just throws those fucking lunch boxes at him and just knocks him fucking flat. Of course, like they're not gonna expect some old dude to have hammers like that. Are you kidding me?
Just coming at him like a fucking veteran of these big, strong hands.
Big meaty claws.
And then it cuts to him watching fish TV in the middle of a market.
He has another moment of just like, oh man, I'm back in the real world. So he sees like this fish tank. He's like, fuck, dude, this shit's real.
Yeah. And then like a random ass guy comes up and hands him a wallet full of money and a cell phone. And he says, don't bother to ask me any questions, and just scurries away.
I was fucked up.
I think that was more or less a message to the audience, because we were just like, yeah, okay, I guess.
All right.
Breaking the fourth wall without breaking the fourth wall. Don't worry about me. I'm unimportant to the story.
There's a lot of this in this movie where there's a huge amount of happenstance, right? And it's basically just all part of the plan, Dutch.
It's all part of the plan. But yeah, he gets handed that phone and the phone rings. And it's what I assume is meant to be an emotionally stirring conversation. But I have no clue what the fuck is being said. So I was just like, whatever.
So Oldboy goes into the restaurant, a little sushi place, sits down, and the lady that's serving him, he recognizes from the TV. She was on that show that he was watching and unfortunately just fucking spanking to. So the phone that he got rings. Like, who is this person? And he's basically berating the guy on the phone for information. Like, who is this? What do you want? You know, where's my family?
Then he gets a mouthful of puss. Octopus, that is.
Well, hold on. This conversation's kind of important, because he's pretty much telling him, like, you know, I'm the guy that's been imprisoning you. I know all about you. My field of study is you. I'm an academic. My field of study is you.
Yeah, he's getting pretty heated about it. He's like, oh, man, you're the reason for all my woes. How dare you? So, out of rage, he asks the lady, he's like, hey, I want some food, but it has to be alive.
I want to eat something that's alive.
The lady obliges, hands him a live octopus, and he promptly grasps it up and just shoves it in his gob.
Yeah, he just fucking rips it apart with his teeth. He's really getting at it, man. Like,
yeah.
I feel sorry for this octopus.
Yeah, it was a real ass octopus.
Tentacles.
A real ass octopus.
Please, no, don't, no.
Yeah, he like passes out for some reason right there. I don't. Is there a reason he passes out? I don't know.
Out full of puss.
There is a reason why he passes out. For those who haven't seen the movie, it goes back to him being hypnotized. So, the moment that she touched his hand, we'll talk about this later maybe, no, we'll forget. It's his trigger to just to pass out.
Oh, okay.
Dunk.
And you can still see like the octopus like wriggling its tentacles out of its mouth as he's passed out and like face planted there on the counter.
So for me, the next thing I get is this big, like him waking up and he's at the house with the sushi girl. And I was like, all right, I guess. She's talking and he's listening and she's got a knife and she goes to the bathroom.
She says
to rape her and he gets knocked on the head and then she shows him like this punch motion and lays down and tells him a bedtime story about a sad girl on a train with the bugs from the Terminex commercials. And I guess this is really sad because...
Okay, stop. We gotta roll back.
Some of that is accurate.
Okay. So, in the scenes that had no dialogue for Brady, the sushi girl felt sorry for her. We'll call her old girl at this point. Takes him back to the apartment, takes care of him.
She's actually a young girl. She's quite a bit younger than him.
Then we will refer to her as old girl.
Old girl.
Her name is Mito.
Like Mito Queen?
The final evolution of Nidoran.
Yeah. Mito. Cute little sushi chef girl.
So Sushi brings her back to the apartment, takes care of him, and they have like a connection. They don't know what about or whatever. And for some reason, she has to let Oldboy know that, hey, I'm going to go take a leak. If you try to come in here, don't.
The lock doesn't work, but I do have a chef's knife.
Yeah, for whatever reason. She's in the bathroom doing her business, and he bursts in and tries to make out with her. I get that it's like the second woman you've ever seen at this point, but come on.
Not just make out, like he starts like pulling down her panties the rest of the way.
Good lord. And it wasn't like it's awkward. It's very awkward because she does have this knife. She doesn't really fight back the way you'd expect someone with a knife to fight back. Kind of like bonks him on the head with the handle, and he's just like, and just kind of scoffs away.
Yeah, kind of like if you hit a bear in the head with a broom or something.
Get out here! Get out here!
Like if you ever seen a dog when it has to wiggle its head and like blow the sneeze out like that. That's kind of what he does, and then he just goes in the other room and lays down like, I was just trying to get some pussy.
Actually, he says, I've committed an unforgivable sin.
Pretty much the same.
Oh, I like this. I like the dichotomy.
But after that, she says something along the lines of like, "I'm sorry, I refused you. It's just too early. I won't always refuse you, so keep trying."
Oh yeah, she's like, "There will be a time where I say no, but don't stop. Just give it to me." And that's when she makes that punch motion. I was just like, "Oh Lord." So
she's like, so just give it to me. If I don't say it's okay, just knock me the fuck out and just have your way.
So where are we at next? What's the next step here?
She tells him a bedtime story about a sad girl on a train with one of the bugs from a Terminex commercial.
Oh yeah.
What?
There's like a brief conversation back to the whole ant thing, and it's actually her. She's a little bit younger. Like if you're super alone for some reason, you daydream about ants. Art.
Yeah, and she's on the train, and there's a fucking 6-foot-tall ant sitting at the other end of the train car, just like, hey, just like the Terminex commercials, like Orkin dude's gonna roll up, and he's gonna be like, and get off at the next stop. She's like, don't stop trying to rape me, 6-foot ant.
Oh, you gotta worry about the uncle.
But yeah, I guess the story's sad because they cuddle after.
Yeah, they're like two lonely souls, like one more so than the other, and they have this connection. They don't know why. They just kind of have this little thing.
Yeah, and then they decide to go get some food the next day, and there's some more bonding over wontons, and they're weird wontons because they squish and crunch, and then all of a sudden he's like, I know these wontons.
They're fried dumplings. And that also reminds me, Oldboy immediately tries to like crack the case, like, who did this? Why was I there? And his only lead thus far is that for the whole 15 years, every day he was fed the same fried dumpling, wontons, whatever. So they go restaurant to restaurant called the Blue Dragon, supposedly, and he tries every single one across town, as many as possible, just so he can narrow it down.
And then he do.
I mean, they have this like little moment of like, I give up, but it turns out that it was called the Blue Dragon, but it had like another prefix to it, and he finds a little ad in the phone book. He's like, all right, listen, I'm gonna go take this hammer and get some food. I'll be back, boo.
Yeah, and then, we're treated to, I guess, the delivery guy. Is that the lip bite headphones dude?
Yeah.
At the elevator? Yeah.
He was really into that elevator, Ryan. It's like,
yeah, he's like, biting that lip all weird. I was like, the fuck is going on? And then the elevator opens and we're treated to Manga Scarface guy. And we learn that he found the baddies via dotted red line and hammer strike.
Oh, good lord.
So it's literal hammer time at this point. He attacks a man and then goes into the next room where we are introduced to yet another nameless character who I refer to as Checking Stonks Guy. At this point, he watches his highlight reel. No clue as to why it would still be playing.
It's like this weird symbolism thing that comes around the movie from time to time. It's just footage of Oldboy in the hotel room or whatever that he was in for the 15 years. It's kind of whatever. It's a little bit full of itself, but don't worry about it.
All right, so we
are at tape bondage.
Yeah, so Stonks Guy, we'll call him. He runs this entire place.
I'll tell you, I don't remember this guy.
He's like a warden for hire, right? So people pay him to kidnap people and keep them there involuntarily for X amount of time. So.
Oh, okay.
So Oldboy busts in and is like, yo, dude, your teeth done fucked up, and pries them out with a hammer, one by one, until he gets the information he needs to get to the next step.
Now, I will say this. For a man getting his teeth removed with the claw side of a hammer, the victim takes it extremely well. There's not a lot of screaming. It's just the tooth comes out and he's like, and then, he's got a rag in his mouth, doused in blood, and he's like, whatever.
That's weird. Like, I remember watching it, he was screaming and gargling because all the blood and stuff. Did you need subtitles?
He's not happy about it, but like literally as soon as he stops doing it, he's just like, yeah, I'm sitting here with a rag in my mouth. And he's like, whatever. I imagine the pain would be enough to maybe render one unconscious.
That's for later, fellas.
And then, boy oh boy, this is what we were talking about, Eric. We're treated to the hashtag hallway showdown.
Oh yeah, it's time to play Hallways and Hammers. Let's give it to him. Woo!
This is actually just the next scene that I remember. I think all of that right through there just kind of blurred together for me. I don't know, I guess too much dialogue and stuff that I wasn't really following. I remember the scene where he tries to beat up a whole hallway full of guys with a hammer.
Tries, he fucking succeeds. He even has like a second helping of elevator folk.
Yeah, he did get stabbed though.
Yes.
Yeah. This is one of the most impressive fight scenes ever put on celluloid. To me, that's my opinion. It's set up as a giant left to right motion. It's all one shot, and everybody gets the shit kicked out of them. Like, everybody by the end of this is worn out, bloodied, tired, and possibly stabbed.
Even not Jackie Chan.
Oldboy ends this fight with a knife in his bag.
Yeah, it's a super fucking cool side-scroller beat-em-up, one-cut fight scene, and so many people have tried to copy this. If people out there have seen Marvel's Daredevil, the TV show, not the fucking movie, they did that. The whole one-cut, here we go.
It's just how it's put on film. It just makes it so visceral and just so barbaric. Like, everybody's just kicking the shit out of each other. And there's just like these just screams of pain, and everybody's just like, ugh, ugh.
Once they get to
in the tight hallway to let you know that not the entire group can make it to him at once. Only 2 guys on either side can really reach out to get him. And even when he goes down, he's literally mashing their fucking toes with a hammer. The one thing that did get me, only one baddie had a real weapon and immediately stabs him with it. And he goes down.
Yeah, but he loses it though because the knife is immediately left in his back, and they're like, "Hey, is he dead?" And then I guess that's his fucking go-to Super Saiyan word. He immediately gets back up, throws the people off his back, and just starts going to town with the hammer again.
My favorite thing is how hesitant they get once there's only like 3 of them left. They're like, "Do we really want to? I guess I'll try and punch this guy again." No,
that poor dude.
That's what's the best about this scene is that this whole thing is ridiculous, but it brings it right back down to earth when these people are struggling.
And then once he gets done with that hallway full of guys, he goes to the elevator, opens it up, and there's like 5 more guys.
Round 2!
Then the next thing you see is he goes down the elevator. The elevator opens up, and just all of those guys just fall out of the elevator.
Multi-kill.
Combo breaker!
Yeah. He's so, like, nonchalant when he leaves the elevator, too, because I think, basically, he just hammered 30 people.
Wink.
And then, like, as he's walking away around the corner, he just, like, yoinks the knife out of his back and just chucks it to the curb. Like, alright, cool.
Then, just on his way across a random crosswalk, he just pulls a fucking Ric Flair and face plants.
Oh, then some random stranger, a very kind man, you suppose, helps him right up and takes him to a car.
And fuck a hospital, he goes right back to old girl.
He directs the driver of the car, a taxi or a friendly stranger, to the specific address of the sushi girl.
Like, as you're watching, you're like, that's weird, how this guy knows specifically where she lives. Yeah. And then the guy right into the camera is like, "Hey, old boy, what's up?" And just kind of leaves.
So weird. At this point, I got up to go get food, and I came back, and all I have is a note that says, "Weird bedroom scene, belly message."
So it turns out, the guy that helped him off the street, he's the guy he's the captor, he's the bad guy. So old boy freaks out, and he's like, "Man, old girl, how the fuck is this like all part of the trap? Is this a part of his plan?" So he ties her up on the bed, and just starts mildly torturing her.
Why not draw on her stomach and lipstick? But, it's her fault. She asked for it by saying no.
No, he was writing down, like, an address or something.
Yeah, like, he gets another phone call, and during the phone call, he's on top of her, straddling her, keeping her pinned to the bed, so the only thing he has to copy any information is the lipstick that's just on her dresser, and also her belly. So, there's that.
And then once he writes down the address, he realizes it's coming from right across the street.
What a twist. Like, this little scene where he runs across the street, unfortunately, there's like a big, weird side of this movie. It's kind of artsy, it's kind of full of itself, so you have some scenes that are a little unfruitful. Like, this is a revenge thriller. And like, you want this guy to, like, smash like the bad guy's face in and get his ultimate revenge, but there are scenes where they just like kind of edge you and you're just like, yeah.
And for me, my next message, or not message, geez Louise, and for me, my next note says 2 messengers snatch his lady, and I suppose they have demands. I couldn't tell what they were demanding, but I'm sure they had something for him to do.
It's like the bad guy gives old boy like an ultimatum, like, "Hey, you can kill me here, but if you do, we'll kill old girl. So just, hey, let's just keep playing this game." And, that's where he gets kicks.
And you'll never know who I am and why I did this to you.
And to be honest, personally, as a viewer, I didn't fucking care. Like, He had him. He had him. Like, he's right there. Just do it. Fucking, who cares if fucking Slim Shady's standing next to him? Just fucking do it.
Well, we learn later that Blade Runner there is a fucking fierce combatant. So fierce that he can somehow mind control old dude into, like, throwing himself onto display cases again and again. But we are now treated to oral fixation number 3.
Explain.
Well, he can't. Like, the conversation's lost on him.
Yeah, I don't have a clue what's going on, but they have one of those things a dentist would use to hold your mouth open, and the guy's like, blah 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 blah, and he's like, okay, whatever, I guess, dude.
The ultimatum is like agreed upon, so he has to like rush back before old girl gets fucked up. The guy that's there, like about to kill her, is the guy he pulled all the teeth out of. So he's like, all right, I'm gonna get my revenge.
And then money gets exchanged.
What I have written in my notes, honestly, is kind of losing interest now. There's just, it's just stuff going on. We're only like an hour into the movie. I know there's another hour left. Let's just get to it.
Yeah, old boy starts laughing, and you're like, okay, now he's gonna get this knife out. Stuff's going on here, and then once shit's about to hit the fan, phone rings. Dude answers it. Guy walks in with a briefcase full of money, and is like, I guess don't hurt him. And then he's like, but I hate this guy. So he hits him with the baseball bat, and the bros bounce. That was my notes. Like, I was like, I don't know what the fuck's going on at this point.
Of course, old girl is just like, hey, do you believe me now? I have nothing to do with this.
Yeah, while she's just like strapped to a mattress with her titties out.
Yeah, just basically crucified, and it's like, alright, fine. I guess you had nothing to do with it.
The only thing that was missing to make this scene more believable was if what she was strapped to was just the box, the springs of a mattress, and there was a car battery hooked up to it.
All stuff! Not Rambo. God damn. We're just gonna have to do Rambo 2. Just randomly.
I'm coming for you.
Hey, are we gonna win this time?
But we get the next set piece, which looks exactly like the scene from The Matrix where they're in that bank to go to get guns or whatever, and they do all the cartwheels into shooting. I went, hey, that's that Matrix place.
Wait, are we already there?
We find out that the bad guy, he lives in like this really swanky penthouse, and this is where he's been doing all of his like revenge plotting over the years. So he has like all this place set up for like this final, I guess, battle later on. In the meantime, old boy's still trying to figure shit out. He goes to the internet cafe to find his buddy from way back in the day. I guess the same guy who was in the telephone booth when he got yeeted from existence.
Yeah, I took no notes there because they talk and then I don't see him again. So I was like, I don't even know.
So the reason why he went there is because old girl had been corresponding with this guy talking about sushi. Turns out I think he was the bad guy, so he kind of like reverse engineered the information so he can get his email. And from there, through this whole bullshit, we find out like he had like a hidden email or something to like a high school alumni. So it turns out that the bad guy went to the same high school as Oldboy.
So
this is why I called him Evergreen. The bad guy, Evergreen, his email's like Evergreen something.
Now, this is, without subtitles, I'm just guessing and kind of being able to laugh most of this off. The more you describe it, the worse it gets. Like, this dude who's been locked away for 15 years and has no clue how to use technology has just reverse engineered this dude's email and traced it back to him. Was like, you know what?
No, it was Buddy at the internet cafe. He helped him.
Oh, that guy did it.
Yeah.
Good for him. I thought they were just
good for him. You're so bitter about it.
Yeah, but
like I have to say like the next bit of movie without subtitles have to be like a fucking whirlwind because in this like 20 minutes a lot fucking happens. So.
My next note says uncomfortable to watch.
Because it's uncomfortable to watch with subtitles. Trust me.
Honestly, going back to this, like, I think we do like a time shift thing right here, right? We go back like 20 some odd years, right?
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, who are these people? Is that Oldboy or is that the bad guy?
That's Oldboy as young boy.
Yeah.
Let's skip ahead, just like this movie. So they leave angrily. They need a place to stay. They go to a hotel. They fuck.
Oldboy and old girl do fuck.
Sex scene. Very noisy, and the scene ends with Oldboy giving her an Oldboy cream pie.
You remember those videos of like kids getting slapped in the face with a piece of cheese? Sounds just like that. So anyways.
Mm-hmm. But why is Psycho Mantis there?
Because you didn't plug your controller into port 2, goddammit.
I can read your mind. You like Castlevania, don't you?
So, turns out that they are bugged. They have like a microphone and a little tracking system on them. So they take a brief moment, they go to this little tech shop, and the guy's like, hey, I'm bugged, get rid of it. And they do. So they lose the bad guy's trail for a moment. And then we finally catch up to the story again, and we have these like little flashbacks to when Oldboy was in high school.
Old boy, young boy, boy, where he's running around with a camera, and he's rapey then too.
Like this entire time he'd been rapey.
Dude, I was like, I don't know who this guy is. Like, I didn't know who the character was at the time because there's no narration for me.
Hold on. I'm just understanding things, or maybe understanding things. I thought the guy in the library was actually No, you're right. I got it. Go ahead.
Yeah. So he has like a flashback because they were both in high school, so he's going through like the yearbook. He's trying to piece things together. So the next 10 minutes or so are figuratively and literally him walking through his memories to kind of piece things together.
Yep. He chases a girl around a table and takes pictures, and then turns into a really awkward sex scene where there's titty kisses, and she takes out a mirror to watch him kiss her titty.
She was into it.
And then she sees somebody looking through what appears to be a bullet hole in the window, and scene.
Okay. Yeah. Let me make sure I have this right, because I thought I had it right, and then I thought I had it wrong. All right, so the guy doing the titty kissing was the bad guy, right?
Yes.
That was him with his sister, right?
Yes.
Okay. And the guy peering through the window is Oldboy.
Yeah.
Oldboy as a teenager saw bad guy as a teenager going down or, doing some nasty stuff with his sister, who was also a teenager.
Yes.
All right. Everything's coming together.
The reason why this is a big deal, not just because of the incest, Oldboy can't keep his mouth shut, as always. He's always been a loudmouth motherfucker, I guess. So, he lets the word get out of this thing, and the next day he has to go to Seoul, I guess, for college or whatever. And in the meantime, the word travels far and wide in his hometown, and everybody's just like, holy shit, this girl's a slut.
That girl's a slut.
They find out that Jamie and Cersei have been fucking, and it's proven, and therefore Joffrey is an illegitimate child and no longer able to be king.
Spoilers.
Holy shit. I'll just do cut to a technical difficulty scene.
Yeah, that's my next note. Hotel hugs. They're back at the hotel. He's hugging old girl, and his hair is so fucking frizzy. It's like 90s Kane after a long match.
Yeah,
it's like Einstein. At this point, he's full of knowledge. He absolutely thinks he has the catalyst for this entire thing. So, with his knowledge of what happened, he remembers now. He thinks, okay, this is the reason why. Like, I told everybody by accident, and she was bullied into suicide. So this must be the answer.
So now he's gonna go rectify things.
Yep. And he's like, with all the information that he's kind of like gooped together, he goes straight to the place somehow. That actually kind of confused me. He somehow, first try, goes to the bad guy's office building. Yeah. I was like, wow, that was a fucking lucky guess.
Well, first, doesn't he go to a dentist or something?
No, that was a barber. He goes and sees a barber.
A barber? No, he goes to a dentist, and he's like, yeah, this place was recommended me by a guy with 6 gold teeth.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay, yeah. Because, like that's the guy who replaced the guy's teeth that he pulled out, who was on the bill from the bad guy, so through them, he would get the information to go to his lair. Fine.
We're helping each other out.
I have a feeling I watched the movie, Brady watched it without subtitles, and you didn't even care to do it.
No.
He was like in and out of consciousness, just like drifting in and out.
Yeah, pretty much.
Suddenly,
elevator. Yeah, he has the gumption to just go right up to the penthouse and just kick some ass and chew some bubblegum.
Hashtag newspaper derringer.
he tries to go up to the penthouse, but like the elevator's just like fucking with him. And as he takes the 5 hours to figure out the elevator, bad guy just walks in. It's like beep boop, I got you, fam. Let's finish.
Don't worry, we'll take you up there. Here we go. And then we get tramp stamp bad guy and his Buffalo Bill, would you fuck me naked mirror speech.
Oh my god, there's so much exposition, and I bet you were so fucking lost.
Well, I just made it my own. Like, I was sitting there laughing with the wife, and I was like, check him out. Look, he's telling him all the bad stuff. Like, you just fucked your daughter, Chuck. You know.
It was this point that I started to get even more lost because of all of the verbal exposition and following along everything in the subtitles. That's what lost me a lot. All right, before we really get into this, I need a beer.
Dude, man, yeah, take that drink. Fucking one for me.
I need it. Because we're getting into some heavy shit here.
No kidding. What you got over there?
All right, what I'm drinking at today is Great Lakes Brewing Company's Bierwolf. It's a Dunkelweizen, 6.6% alcohol by volume. There's really no tie-in between Bierwolf and Oldboy. I just wanted to drink this.
Yeah, there's absolutely no connection between Beowulf drinks and incest. We promise.
What? This is a dark wheat beer. Definitely gets notes of all of that roasted maltiness. It's almost toasty, almost like biscuits.
Toast.
Yeah, like it smells like biscuits and toast, that kind of thing.
Maybe a dumpling.
If you're smelling biscuits and toast, I think you're having a stroke.
Flavor, you do get a little bit of that weedy sweetness. Not nearly as much of like the banana and bubblegum that you get from like a normal, like a blonde wheat ale. This is pretty dark. This is a real dark, really toasty wheat ale. It's kind of like two worlds meeting, and I don't know that it is as good as either one of those worlds are separately, to be honest. It's fine. It's not a bad beer.
I think you just described the plot to Aladdin.
Damn.
Oh.
It's a whole new beer.
But I don't know. I was hoping for something a little bit more fruity.
Much like yourself.
Hey. No.
Yeah. Yeah, Brady.
So now that I've taken the edge off, where are we going here?
Okay, crack the old knuckles. So this is what happens, fellas. This is all part of his plan. He wanted Oldboy to play this game to gradually figure out what happened, because here it comes, everybody. This entire thing was a setup. So,
all right.
Man, we are going someplace we don't want to go.
All right, I'll go back to the beer then.
All aboard the Incest Express. So, not knowing, without subtitles, it works still because they show you a picture of him with his wife and their young daughter. And then it shows you picture after picture after picture of her growing up until finally it's them in that hotel room fucking. And he's like, grrr, and
he's like, say psych right now.
Yeah, he begins throwing himself through cases. Like, I know it's supposed to be not Rutger Hauer, Blade Runner dude doing it, but it's clearly just a shot of that guy diving onto these items over and over.
Yeah, after this stunning revelation, he just goes crazy. He tries to attack the bad guy, but he obviously has Slim Shady as like a right-hand man, so he's like, and so just starts throwing him into shit. Like, he's obviously like a competent fighter, but there's a really wide shot of him getting like fucking super flipped or whatever into the window.
Yeah, and then it slowly cracks and explodes, but replicants don't fuck around. He should have known that. And there's only one thing for the main baddie to do. Of course, duh. Shoot the replicant. What a twist!
Okay. So
what?
So without subtitles, this is a little weird. In this scuffle, Oldboy still had like, was it a pair of scissors or like the chopstick or something? So when they were fighting, he like jabbed it right into his ear, so he couldn't hear the bad guy tell him to stop. Like, he didn't want to kill him right there. He wasn't done with him.
Oh, well, I missed that bit. I was just like, oh, well, he just killed Rutger Hauer.
Rip in peace.
What a best.
Yeah, he blows his brains out with that little sleeve gun. This little Saturday night special or something.
Just pew! And then he goes over and starts to clean the blood off his face while Oldboy is like, I don't know what's going on, but I know what's going on. And then it commences to a bunch of begging in a language that I don't understand and yelling in a language I don't understand that culminates in literal boot licking while the baddie laughs, which sounds like a pig eating truffles.
I'll take it.
At
So
this
what I
point,
got from this was, I'm gonna fucking kill you. Just kidding. I don't want to kill you. I'm sorry. I'll be your dog. Let me be your slave forever. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he goes through like all 7 layers of depression. Like, he's pissed. He tries to like cut a deal. He's sad.
He cuts out his tongue.
It's like an onion. It has layers. Like, he just descends into this like madman, just trying to make sure that she doesn't know what happens.
he takes
That happened.
those scissors, and they're like really cool and steampunky. They got like gears on them for some reason. They look like something out of Saw. And he takes them and he cut off his own tongue. And I'm sitting there like, man, those boots must have tasted awful.
I don't know if we covered this exactly, but he had what's her name, old girl, held up in the same hotel prison place that he was during all this.
Yeah, just to kind of keep her safe, he
Right.
kind of had the bright idea of like, hey, let's hide her somewhere where he would never look. Joke's on him. The guy that lost all of his teeth is still on his fucking payroll, so they didn't go anywhere. Yeah.
But then, you know, he's got a mouth full of blood, and he rudely spits it in this man's fountain. And the baddie, again, I don't know what they're saying. He says some stuff, and he leaves not Jackie Chan there to cry while playing the audio from the incest.
In that little meeting they had across the street from her apartment, a little MacGuffin was brought up, like, hey, I had heart surgery and I paid him $100,000 to put in like this little software, so if I press this button in this tube, I die. So, you know, if you play this game, you can kill me with this, but if you don't, I'll kill her and myself and you won't have any satisfaction of revenge. So, in this moment, after he'd cut his tongue, he had begged, licked his boots, he just rolls it to him, and Oldboy has this moment of like, oh shit, here it is. So he starts to walk away dramatically, the bad guy, and Oldboy's just like pressing the button, nothing's happening. And he presses it like one last time and holds it, and you hear a click, and he thinks, oh shit, this is it. I just killed him. But turns out that was just a remote, a Bluetooth remote to a stereo that played the audio of he and his daughter fucking having it out.
Yep. And then all of a sudden you get a scene of, to me, 2 fucking strangers who I have no clue who they were. And it's much like the opening scene of the movie. It's a man with a woman, and instead of a tie, he's holding her arm, she's dangling off a dam. Exactly how they were in the opening. She's going to fall to her death. She reaches up and takes a suicide selfie. All the rage over there, by the way, or letting herself plummet to her death. There's like a little video game flicker to show that young boy was, in fact, the dude in the elevator.
And while he remembers all this, while he's going down the elevator, he shoots himself in the head.
Yeah, that was his plan. Like, he had no more game to play. His entire life was engulfed in this revenge plan. It succeeded. Like, the bad guy wins. He's got nothing else. Boom.
We get treated to some narration that I didn't understand and more stonk notes. But yeah, then the old lady who rang the little ding-a-ling bell is there having a chat with Oldboy in the snow, and she points at a half-burnt tree that leads to an exposition montage that I have no clue what it means.
I don't know what this means either.
Artsy purple hue erupts and stuff happens.
I get you, fam. So,
All right.
that's the same woman that hypnotized him over all those years in the little room. So,
By the
he's
way,
basically...
Can we go back and just, if we haven't explicitly mentioned it, he was hypnotized into going to that restaurant, falling in love with this girl. The girl was hypnotized into falling in love with him. Yeah, that's where we're at right now. This has been, yeah.
So at this point, he's asking her basically to give him like a mental lobotomy to hypnotize him into splitting into two forms of himself. The monster, which is the one that remembers what he had done to who he had done, and Oldboy, the new Oldboy, who can just go the rest of his life living happily without that stuck in his brain. So she does it successfully. The monster walks away in his mind, completely gone, and since everything is over, like he snaps back to reality, the hypnotist is gone, got old boy, old girl, they're just having it out. She's happy that he's safe, she's happy that it's over, and she tells him, I love you. Now, I don't know if it's like another twist, or if it's supposed to mean something, but he doesn't retort. He just has this like fucking shit-eating grin on his face. So I don't know if it's up in the air whether or not it's like the monster that's still here, or is it old boy.
Yeah, he had that grin on his face back in the prison, too. Like, whenever he was fucking, like, having his psychotic episodes, he would have that grin.
That picture.
Yeah. So, I don't know if that's... Either way, ew! Because...
My note says, old boy and daughter reunite, hug and smile, and then decide to continue incestuous relationship.
Old boy and daughter, or old boy and lover?
Daughter.
You know,
back to my previous statement, ew!
I thought this was like a happily ever after kind of thing, but now I don't know.
I mean, depends on how you look at it.
Dad?
And she still doesn't know that that's her father, correct?
It's up to him to drop the bomb, and that's what the smile was, like, fuck it.
Well, see,
that's some good pussy.
Oh, shit. See, that's the thing, like, I think it alludes to, like, him being hypnotized at work, but some reason that face just makes me think, like, it's still the guy that knows, so...
Yeah,
either way, ew! Nasty!
Okay, there's kind of three branches, three ways that we could go about this. Either he doesn't know. If he doesn't know, then he's just going to keep on fucking his daughter, right?
That's why I'm saying, ooh, there's no resolution to this fucking movie. So if he does...
If he does know, then he's got two choices. He can either tell his daughter that he is his father. He can tell.
She saw a picture of him and was like, you know what? You kind of look like my dad. If he lost weight and went psycho.
I don't think she has one. I think she was like put up for adoption later on.
Can't keep in your pants. Keep in the family.
Like I would have assumed, rather than adoption, that she was kidnapped. At a very young age, that would have been my guess.
I think maybe she was sent to like boarding school in Sweden or something. That was mentioned. I don't know if that applies to her. You know, fuck it. That's Oldboy from 2003. I feel disgusting. If you have any opinions on the movie yourself, by all means, leave it in the comments below.
Man, I'll just say before I go into my thing, I am so much more disgusted with this movie now that I know what was going on than when I actually watched the movie yesterday. Feel free to like and subscribe. Make sure you hit that little bell icon so next time we're watching another movie that's going to make you want to throw up.
Make sure you follow us on all those different social media accounts. We got a Facebook, a Twitter, Instagram. We got a great administrator constantly pumping out new content for you guys. And if you don't get out there and check it out, we'll pull out your teeth with a claw hammer.
He's pumping out new content like Oldboy was pumping out cream pies into his daughter.
You're fired.